In parts of what is known today as southeast and south of Nigeria, there was the establishment of a unique communication system or communication method. This communication method is referred to as Nsibidi. Nsibidi was a very unique means of communication among communities in parts of what later became southeast and south of Nigeria, even up to the point where this Nsibidi has some level of influence in southern Cameroon. It was a very sophisticated and effective means of communication among some diverse people. It was an ancient system of graphic communication indigenous to some diverse people in the southeastern Nigeria and parts of south and also up to southern Cameroon. Some of the people that used this communication method were some Igbo communities, some Ibibio communities, and some Efi communities. One uniqueness of this communication system is that it is encoded and does not correspond with any of the spoken languages. According to the website of National Museum of Africa, Nsibidi is an ideographic script whose symbols refer to abstract concepts, action, or things, and whose use facilitates among speaking different languages. Nsibidi is believed to have over 1,000 symbols. They can be drawn on the air through gestures, on the ground, on skin as tattoos, on houses, and on art in form of masks and textiles. This communication system was operated as an artistic practice by the general public. There was the issue that some of the aspects of Nsibidi communication can only be used by male folks. The symbols and words in the Nsibidi communication system cut across many social areas in the different communities. There are signs and symbols for love, signs and symbols for conflict, family, trade transaction, religious activities, different objects, and many other areas. Please, if you're watching us for the very first time, subscribe to our channel and click on the notification icon so that anytime we drop a new content, you will be one of the earliest persons to be notified. The symbols under Nsibidi were written in two forms. These two forms were public forms. In the public forms, these symbols were used as practical means of communication. There was another form, that is the secret form. In the secret form, these Nsibidi symbols were used as methods of spiritual practices. The public ones were much likely recognizable, or they were highly recognized because they were used in practical daily approach and also in public fare. The spiritual ones were used for mystical and religious purposes, and in most cases were used in secrecy. Let us look at a possible origin of this Nsibidi. According to the documentation on Wikipedia, Nsibidi's origin is attributed to the Ugwu Akima Ebe or Oyanga subgroups of the Igbo people that that are resident in the old Cross River region. Nsibidi spread throughout the region, largely among the membership of the Ebe society, to other cultures and arts, such as the Ejagan people of the Northern Cross River. To a certain level, Nsibidi was used as a means of spiritual communication. The first recorded evidence of the origin of Nsibidi were published in 1909 by Reverend J.K. McGregor, who was said to have collected Nsibidi symbols. Nsibidi was described in the colonial era by P.A. Talbot as a kind of primitive secret writing. Talbot went ahead to explain that Nsibidi was used for messages cut or painted on split palm stems. The coming of the British and the introduction of English language as a lingua franca of Nigeria affected the use of Nsibidi communication system. There were moves at a time to sustain the use of Nsibidi in the areas where it was known for. But before the outbreak of the Civil War in Nigeria, Nsibidi was commonly taught in schools, and some of the symbols were used as tattoos. Nsibidi was transported to Cuba and Haiti during the transatlantic slave trade period. It was believed that Nsibidi played a very important role towards the development of some local communication system in this area. One of them was the Anaforuana and also the Veve symbols. The Veve symbol was a religious symbol commonly used in the traditional African religion in the Haiti area. Now let's look at the possible or the areas upon which Nsibidi were used. One unique thing you have to understand was that Nsibidi was not actually a spoken language, but the communication through symbols can be can be made as gestures in the air. It can be written on surfaces. It can be drawn on surfaces, even on the body, and also on the body of even clothes. Now, one very important area that Nsibidi was used was in judging of cases. Nsibidi was used in judgments of cases known as Ibe in the Enion, among the Enion group, which was a sub-Igbo group within the Cross River region. This was according to the documentation of Reverend McGregor. He explains that Nsibidi was used as a means of recording of judgments. He stated that the record of Ibe can be said to have been used through the documentation of Nsibidi. The court was held under 3 as the customs of the people, and also parties in the cases were meant to be present. The chief who judged it, his staff are encircled by other persons, and then their communications were used in area of vocal communication. But when it comes to some documentation, Nsibidi was used. Another area of usage of Nsibidi that was well known was on the design of a particular cloth material called Okara Ebe. Okara Ebe was a woven material which was used or which was dyed in most cases blue, red, or green. And these materials were used as clothing or also to produce clothes. These cloth materials were usually woven in places like Abakaliki, which is in the present-day Ebonyi State. Nsibidi signs were used to design them. Although Nsibidi was not a language, it was a collection of symbols and complex alphabets and signs that were used for communication among the people within this area. This tends to explain that there were some moves, or very great sophisticated moves of establishing some level of general communication pattern in some parts of Africa before the coming of the Europeans. Please, if you're watching us for the very first time, subscribe to our channel and click on the notification icon so that anytime we bring a new content, you'll be one of the earliest persons to be notified. We as well urge you to share our contents, and we will as well appreciate your comments in order for us to discuss African history together. Thanks for being part of this channel.